Hello and welcome to CFL Classics. I'm Chris Schultz. Today we relive the 1990 Western Divisional semifinal featuring the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Edmonton Eskimos. This was a big revenge game for the Eskimos as Saskatchewan had eliminated them the previous year in 1989 Western Final. The biggest strength for Edmonton in 1990 was a stellar offense led by Tracy Ham. The Eskimos scored an average of 34 points per game during the 18-game regular season. Still, both teams had lost their last game of the season, so momentum would not be a factor heading into this one. It's cold, it's snowy, it's the Western semifinal between Saskatchewan and Edmonton.
Edmonton Eskimos finished the season 10-8 in second place in the West. Saskatchewan 9-9 in third, the same record they had last year when they went on to win the Grey Cup. And under less than ideal weather conditions, John Gregory's Roughriders will try to duplicate that feat, and they'll start right now. The game is underway. Gizmo Williams has a problem with the kickoff. Has it now back on his 2-yard line and is hit hard at the 10 and down at the 12 or the 13-yard line. Guys, your thoughts on whether or not one team has an advantage given these weather conditions today?
Well, I don't think so, Bob. I think both these teams play in outdoor venues. They know what it's going to be like this time of year. I have to laugh a little bit, though. I'm sure Tracy Ham and Ken Austin, for that matter. Tracy went to Georgia Southern and Ken Austin at Mississippi University. This is something new for both of them.
I don't believe that they can think about it, because if it becomes a distraction, it becomes a problem.
Tracy Ham and the Eskimo offense starting deep in their territory, and they're working into the wind in this first quarter. Not a real strong wind, but it will affect the kicking somewhat. Ham will take off and run, and he gains 8 yards as he heads up the field to about the 20-yard line. Well, yesterday was a gorgeous day in Edmonton. It was +2 degrees Celsius. No sign of snow. The tarp on the field. They took it off yesterday afternoon. As of 9:30 this morning, you could see that the snow had already been cleared. It started snowing late last night, and this is what it looks like right now. And they swept the field with those sweepers, at least part of it, just before the start of the game. They didn't get it all, as you can see. 2nd and 2 Eskimos. The ball's at their 20-yard line. And Blake Marshall carries off the left side, and he gets a first down for Edmonton.
When you talk about preparation for a game like this, I think you have to be very sure on what kind of footwear. The one on the right, the spot belt shoe, the cleats are a lot softer. They will stay pliable as it gets colder. The shoe on the left, the Nike, is hard-soled, hard cleats. It slides. Most of the players are wearing the shoe on the right.
Tracy Ham with a toss to Walling on first down. And he'll gain a couple of yards, and that'll be it. Dave Albright and Dan Rasevich moved up to make the stop for Saskatchewan.
You know, when you're talking about these kinds of field conditions, I think it's really important to consider the running game today is going to primarily be between the tackles. I can't see how a running back's going to start to the outside and be able to turn that corner when it's so slippery. So watch for a lot of inside stuff.
Oh, you're right, Nick. And the offensive line is going to get that first shot, but it'll be tough for them to sustain a drive, too.
2nd and 8. Tracy Ham throws and completes down the left side. That's Larry Willis. And they rule that he stepped out of bounds, but it's a big gain for the Edmonton Eskimos.
Larry Willis has been hampered by a pulled abdominal muscle, which is maybe one of the reasons he hasn't been as explosive. But when you take the chance of knocking the ball down on an out, the only help you have is downfield, and you'll see it come into play with Glenn Suter. But it's a tough play for him. You either go for the ball and pick it off, or make sure you got a hand on the receiver.
Tough call for the officials, too, as to where he went out of bounds. Tracy Ham on first down throws incomplete. And the football is at the Saskatchewan 54-yard line.
Well, the thing that's going to be most difficult for the defensive linemen on their pass rush is that they just really can't get any traction. Offensive linemen love this kind of a day because you set the defensive lineman real short. Don't let him build any momentum.
Yeah. Eskimos 2nd and 10. The football at the 54 of Saskatchewan. They will change the footballs throughout the game to try and get a softer ball in there because they freeze real fast.
as does everything else. But I think if we saw Brett Williams change. The players can't be concerned about their footwear. When you're in a three-point stance, the last thing you want to worry about is if you come off hard, will you slip or not?
And throwing on 2nd down in a diving effort. And it's incomplete. Diving for the ball was Todd Smith. Keith Wright
You see the initial pressure coming on Tracy Hammond. First series here right away. He's rolling to his left, he's rolling to his right, and he's going to try to escape a lot of that pressure coming straight up the field. And once again, those defensive linemen have to run laterally. It's very hard for them to pursue the quarterback. They're going to slip.
Ray McAready had the second best punting average in the CFL behind Calgary's Brent Mattich. He'll kick on 3rd and 10. The football at the Saskatchewan 54-yard line. We're just underway. And the Riders are going to get the ball for the first time in the game. The kick bounces to Albert Brown at his 18-yard line, and he can't get any footing, and down he goes.
Due to CFL blackout regulations, the football game scheduled at this time cannot be seen live in your area. Please stay tuned for our alternate programming.
Who's up for a challenge?
Every year during ski season, this guy Murphy hosts an unofficial scavenger hunt.
He put together this list of all this crazy stuff.
There's a couple of grand up for this year's winners.
Friend, girlfriend, crush, dream team,
What's not to like?
Okay, everybody, we have the results.
or real disaster. It's 3 times the fun on a new episode of Whistler. Sunday at 10 on CTV.
Contenders ready?
ESPN Classic is the exclusive home for the groundbreaking series American Gladiators. Catch the action twice a week, every Saturday and Tuesday, as we relive the excitement of Turbo, Nitro, Gemini, and Jazz. Watch the Gladiators take on challengers in games such as Assault, Powerball, Atmosphere, and the Eliminator. American Gladiators every Saturday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and Tuesdays at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. Only on ESPN Classic, where the legends come to play.
With more hours in defense, TSN HD is Canada's sports leader in high definition. This fall, sports fans get even more news and highlights in HD when SportsCenter goes high definition. Make the move to TSN HD and experience more sports like never before. TSN HD, Canada's sports leader in high definition. The TELUS Skins Game, a special year for a great event with a unique fivesome, a bear, a shark, a lion, a kid, and a Canuck. Great golf and fun at the Banff Springs course. A tribute to 5 decades of championship golf, led by legends Jack Nicklaus and Greg Norman. 06 Players champion Stephen Ames playing at home, and crowd favorites Sergio Garcia and John Daly. The 2006 TELUS Skins Game, tomorrow and Sunday morning at 11:30 on TSN.
Life's about options. When I take the snap, drop back, read the defense, I have infinite possibilities. And split seconds to decide. In my game, the clock is always running. Sometimes you gotta throw away the playbook and go with your gut. I'm keeping my options wide open. This is my read. This is my SportsCenter.
ESPN Classic is the exclusive home for classic NWA TNA wrestling action. See stars such as the phenomenal AJ Styles, Jeff Jarrett, the Monster Abyss, Raven, and the members of Team Canada.
Hey, we're Team Canada, and be sure to watch all the non-stop action of TNA wrestling every Wednesday night on ESPN Classic.
NWA TNA wrestling every Wednesday, only on ESPN Classic, where the legends come to play.
Saskatchewan Roughriders have the football for the first time in the game at their 20-yard line. Ken Austin back to pass. A quick one intercepted. Touchdown Edmonton, Jeff Braswell.
Ken Austin reads the hot pattern. 2 steps, he's looking to his left for that slot back to come inside the linebacker, not go to the outside. Braswell steps to the out to possibly get a jam, and he receives an early Christmas gift right there.
I mean, I think Ken Austin, you say he reads a hot pattern. I think Jeff Braswell read it equally well. And I want to see what happens with Ken Austin now coming back in the next series and see how he reacts to this early in the game deep in their own end.
McArady adds the convert, and the Eskimos have jumped out in front 7-0. And you could see Austin talking to Lucius Floyd after the play, telling him obviously he should have gone inside.
Well, in motion, the linebacker will probably spread out a little bit when he sees that running back come. So the running back has to go towards and then work to the inside. That's where the hot pattern is. If he goes around and anticipates anything else, he makes the wrong read and he puts Austin in hot water.
And Austin was in hot water. Jeff Braswell saw to that. Interception of 22 yards, return for the touchdown. The third interception this year for Braswell and the Eskimos. Boy, and I'll tell you, getting a lead in weather conditions like this has to be very important.
When I heard and listened to players talking the other day from both sides, a word that came up in all conversations, be it special teams, offense, defense, is they all seem to say, we have to make it happen early. Early was a key word in preparation and what they wanted to accomplish.
Well, these are two teams not exactly overrun with confidence right now. They both lost their last game of the regular season. Saskatchewan with the kickoff return. And a good hard hit by McLean as Paul Bushy brought the football back, and Saskatchewan will have it again. Here's the Edmonton defense. Michel Bourgeot activated to play on defensive end. Leroy Blue replacing Stu Hill on the other side. Walker and Williams a force inside. Bass, Braswell, and Ruck, they've been there at the linebacker spots all year. And 5 Americans in the secondary with Shelton at safety. But that's the best secondary the Eskimos have. Lucius Floyd carries on first down from the Saskatchewan 43-yard line, and he'll lose a yard or two.
Another good play that time by Jeff Braswell, playing off a blocker, forcing that running back to move laterally on these conditions, waiting for the other pursuit, help from his defensive teammates.
And you'll see the halfbacks on any plays that go wide, as Mark Mathis did there. They're up tight on first down to begin with. They come up and really take any opportunity of a good play and success by making a good play and making a hit.
Ken Austin will work from the shotgun in 2nd and 12. Lots of time. Downfield has Fairholm open, and that's a Saskatchewan first down at the Edmonton 50-yard line.
When it was posed the question to Enos Jackson, the other halfback in the Edmonton defense, they said, what kind of receiver is he? Jackson says, well, he's out of position. He's a slot back with the moves and the speed of a wide receiver, and that's what really complements this offense. You got the brute force with Elgard and then the finesse with Fairholm.
From the Eskimo 50.5, Saskatchewan first down. Austin throws again to Milson Jones, and he will not get away from the Eskimo tacklers, led by Jeff Braswell. Ken Austin at quarterback with Milson Jones and Lucius Floyd, the outstanding rookie in the West, in the backfield. Fairholm 100% healthy, and Elgard the slots. They scare the Eskimos. Narcisse Guy outside, and that veteran offensive line of the Roughriders with 37-year-old Roger Aldag the key to it. 2nd down and 8. Roughriders at the Edmonton 49. Austin one-handed grab on the snap, and he throws for Fairholm. Flag down. Jeff Fairholm has a touchdown.
Well, I guess if anybody thought that Ken Austin was going to be intimidated.
Forward pass interference. Edmonton number 29, decline. Touchdown.
I think if you thought he was going to be intimidated by what happened in that first series, forget it. This is a veteran quarterback. He doesn't let that kind of stuff bother him. He knows where he's going with this ball right off the bat. Just a terrific throw between those two defenders. You couldn't ask for a better throw.
Oh, yeah. You make a mistake, you come out and run and gun, and that's the way you have to play a game like this. Don't let a little problem like that, even if it is a touchdown and an interception, disturb you. Back to Fairholm, and that's how you hit quick, and that's how they've done it all year.
My kind of town, Chicago, home of the year's last major. Tiger won here with the Medina Country Club in '99. And now the world's #1 player is back. He leads the field as they chase the world's #2, who happens to be the defending champ. The 2006 PGA Championship starts Thursday at 2. And for all the news from the world of golf, tune into SportsCenter Daily on TSN.
I spend most of my weekends driving in rush hour, bumper to bumper, with no horns. Works for me. I won my first championship when I was 8. I felt on top of the world. I love the speed, the thrill of the chase, leading the pack, and the taste of victory. They say getting there is half the fun. To me, winning's everything. Each time I race, I'm chasing after more than a checkered flag. I'm chasing a dream. This is what drives me. This is my Sports Center.
ESPN Classic is the exclusive home for classic NWA TNA wrestling action. See stars such as the phenomenal AJ Styles, Jeff Jarrett, the Monster Abyss, Raven, and the members of Team Canada.
Hey, we're Team Canada, and be sure to watch all the non-stop action of TNA wrestling every Wednesday night on ESPN Classic.
NWA TNA wrestling every Wednesday, only on ESPN Classic, where the legends come to play.
Just over 6 minutes left, opening quarter of the West semifinals. 7-7, Saskatchewan and Edmonton. Eskimos with the ball at their 25-yard line. 1st and 10 after a 38-yard Lazecki punt. Tracy Ham hits screen to Keith Wright, but the ball didn't get there. It bounced before Wright got his hands on it. Tracy Ham hurt last week in Calgary, but looking like he's 100% today with Marshall and Souls in the backfield. We'll also see Walling and Johnstone, Ellison Smith the slots. Larry Willis acquired from BC and Wright at wide receiver, and McConnell replacing injured Randy Ambrosi at the right guard spot for the Eskimos. They're 2nd and 10 at their 25-yard line. Ham sprints right, throws again looking for Keith Wright, but nowhere near the intended receiver, and Ham is throwing into a wind, and the wind took that ball on that throw.
The other part, I guess, you get him rolling out to the right and rolling to the left. It helps those outs when he tries to throw them. You can really cut down the distance that he has to throw that ball to the sideline.
So with 5:40 left in the first quarter, Ray McCready will kick again into this slight wind. It's -9, and we're all thankful that the wind isn't strong, because it would then be totally miserable. McCready has a problem, and it's blocked by Saskatchewan. He gets the ball across the line of scrimmage. The Roughriders have a hard time finding a handle, and there is a flag on the play.
Well, the cold weather brings an awful lot of different things, but sometimes when you're sitting back and as a punter and the ball comes low, his hands have got to be a little bit cold, and Hoffman comes in from the right side. Goes for where the ball's going to be, makes a pretty good effort.
Well, I know the guy who felt the kickers would have the hardest time dealing with this weather today. Wally Buono, the coach of the first-place Calgary Stampeders. What are your thoughts on the game so far, Wally?
Well, so far it's pretty much like we thought it was going to be a close encounter, and right now Saskatchewan has just gotten a big break, and Edmonton made a big play early in the game, so it's a pretty tough game.
What did you anticipate? You come up here to watch the Eskimos. I know you're going to watch both football teams, because who knows who's going to win, but what did you think and how you thought Edmonton would come out ready for this game? What would they try to do to Saskatchewan offensively?
Well, I think offensively they want to make sure they get some pressure on Austin, and right now that's something they haven't really done. Austin's been sitting back there and pretty much reading the coverage, and you saw in the one scoring drive, you had a lot of time to throw the ball.
So if they don't get to them with their front four, do you anticipate them starting to throw a few more blitzes in there?
Well, I think that's when they hurt you the most. You know, that's when Fairholm has had some big days against Edmonton, is when they start blitzing and getting one-on-one with those halfbacks, and I think they're afraid of that.
Wally, I'm sure you don't care who's in Calgary next Sunday.
No, it doesn't matter. I think they're both excellent football teams, and we'll be ready for either one.
Thanks, Wally. Wally Buono, the head coach of the Calgary Stampeders, who will play the winner of this game in the West Final. Austin looking into the end zone for Don Narcisse. There's a flag on the play, and it looks like interference will go against the Eskimos.
When you put the ball up, a number of good things can happen, and one of them can be an interference call if you're the offensive team.
Well, capitalizing on mistakes and errors and things of that nature. Again, and we don't want to harp on the weather forever, but in this type of a day, if you get so many chances, you better make them all count.
Oh, you're darn right.
Ken Lazarick from Winnipeg is the referee.
There's no infraction on the play. Ball was uncatchable. 3rd down.
Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders are enraged by that turn of events as they thought they were going to have it 1st and goal on the 1. You see John Gregory on the field. Richie Hall talking to one of the officials. But after a conference, they decided not to enforce the penalty.
Out of the shotgun. See Austin looking left. That little pump fake to try to pull some defenders. And you make the decision. Is this a catchable ball or not?
It isn't when they're both on the ground.
Dave Ridgway on to try a field goal. And it's good. Nothing seems to bother Mr. Ridgway. We'll figure out how long that was for you in a minute. About 32 yards, I'd say. And Saskatchewan has taken the lead thanks to the man they call Robo-Kicker, who was a cool 59 out of 72 this year. That's just 82% in his field goal tries.
You see that referee stayed away till John Gregory calmed down. You want to talk about a look saying it all right there. That was great.
So the Roughriders have taken the lead with 4:11 left in the first quarter. Dave Ridgway seemingly unbothered by anything. Tracy Ham and the Edmonton offense with Blake Marshall carrying off the left side. Flags come down after Marshall was grabbed by a host of Roughriders. Then a flag came down. Here's the Saskatchewan Roughrider defense, the front 4, Jurison, Lewis, Klingbeil, and Goldsmith, and they've been there all season long. Albright's been in and out of the lineup. They're happy to have him today. Eddie Lowe and Dan Rasevich, who's had a terrific year at the outside spots and the secondary. And again, that's a group that has been there for the entire season. Albert Brown missed 1 game.
You're right, they are glad to have Albright back in. He broke his arm last year and had a plate put in. The plate has been removed, but that arm has given him problems in the last couple weeks. He sat out last week. He says he's ready to go before the game. He said he's from California, but this cold weather doesn't bother him.
Also missed a number of early games with a toe problem. Tracy Ham throws deep on 1st down, and it's no good. Just about a long connection for Tracy Ham.
Well, Tracy Ham, took an awful long time to throw that ball, but as we said, they were going to go deep at least 8 times this game, test the secondary of the Roughriders, and they feel that's where they can get some success. And Lewis giving Tracy Ham a little earhole job there at the end, letting him know I'm around.
Ham had something to say to Keith Wright, too, as he came back to the huddle. 2nd and 10 Eskimos. The ball is at their 51-yard line. Ham gets away from Jurison and finally throws and completes it. For a 1st down, Craig Ellis made the catch.
Well, I think we mentioned at the start of the program here that it's critical for these guys to stay squared up to on their pass rush lanes. Now, you're not worried so much about getting to the quarterback. Just keep them in the pocket where he throws. If they're on the ground, they can't make the play on the quarterback.
You know, when Tracy Ham scrambles, Craig Ellis against a man cover will force his man and then come to the ball to where the ball's thrown. And you see that's what he does there. He pushes his man away from where Tracy Ham runs to and then releases and gives Ham a good target. And against a zone, Craig Ellis finds the open spot by going again to the quarterback and finding a soft area.
They also tacked on a roughing the passer penalty, so the Eskimos are down to the Saskatchewan 30-yard line. Ham looks into the end zone and almost picked off by Stacey Hairston. Larry Willis, the intended receiver.
Ham with the pass attempt to Larry Willis.
Ham trying to find that seam with Willis down the field. Hairston, number 2, had outside position. Suter from the safety spot was deep and came over. They defended it perfectly.
Yeah, they certainly did. And I guess a bit of a dilemma is you can't double Ellis all the time because of Willis. So you mix it up and you try to create a little confusion for Ham.
Tracy Ham's 2 out of 8 for 43 yards on not exactly a good day for passing. He's 2nd and 10 now at the Saskatchewan 30-yard line. And again, he sprints to try and get away from the rush. Throws downfield. There's a flag. Ellis, the intended receiver, got tangled up with Larry Hogue.
Well, you talk about the blitz. Saskatchewan came up. Here comes Ellis across the field. The coverage is already behind him. Hogue tries to make a play. He goes and tries to accelerate, and they get their feet tangled.
Hogue didn't get any help that time from Glenn Suter, who came up on the line, tried to blitz the quarterback and try to contain Tracy Ham. He got knocked down. Tracy Ham escaped to the outside.
Eskimos on the Saskatchewan 10-yard line with the interference penalty. Ham pumps a couple of times. Now he just dumps it off. Scholes, touchdown.
Watch the movement of where the team's going. Marshall steps right, Soul stays in, and both release. Tracy Ham sees nothing to one side. When the linebacker doesn't come to Michael Souls, he just finds the area, just sort of waffles out there and waits, and if there's an opportunity. And sure enough, Marshall stays in and blocks, and Souls gets himself a touchdown. Tracy Ham has the ability, as he did there, to now take himself away from a read, come to the backside in the open man, and that's Rod Conop down. Right from the snap, Marshall steps up. He helps out on Klingbeil. Nothing there. Don't try to force it, and instead of running, get it to someone who's paid to run the football, and that's Michael Souls.
One of the things that's really helped so far also is that, again, they're forcing those defensive linemen to run laterally. They seal him off to that side. Tracy Ham just escapes out the backside, buys some time.
Ray McErady will attempt the convert. And he makes it. So with 1:49 left in the first quarter, it's 14-10 Edmonton over Saskatchewan. That was a 6-play, 75-yard drive, aided by 2 Saskatchewan penalties, one for roughing, one for interference. Saskatchewan, the least penalized team in the CFL this season. How do you figure all this scoring in these weather conditions? Offense has that much of an advantage?
Well, you said earlier, you know, the receivers and running backs, they know where they're going, and it's very difficult for the defenders once it gets started running one way to stop and come back on a guy. So you've got to factor that into what's happening.
And both coaches said to us yesterday, and of course it was a lot nicer yesterday, there wasn't any snow on the ground, but it was still kind of chilly, and both thought that combined scores would be somewhere between 50 and 60 points. So I think both coaches understand that the weapons on the side of the offensive teams, and that they can both light it up. And regardless of whether there's a little snow on the ground, I don't think it much matters.
Well, at this rate, there'll be over 100 points scored. That's hard to imagine, but who knows? Here's Albert Brown having a hard time with the kickoff. Now he has it. A flag comes down, and so does Brown at the Saskatchewan 32-yard line.
Albert Brown returning that kickoff for the...
And you know, John Gregory is wondering why all the calls are going against his team. So the Riders lose 10 yards, and they're back at their 21-yard line, 1st and 10. Another flag is down as the handoff goes to Milson Jones, and then another flag, I think, for a late hit against Jones.
I think the second flag is without question a late hit, or hitting with using the head and spearing. The first one might be an offside.
Well, it's a big advantage to the quarterback to use voice inflection to draw the guy off, because it's really hard for him to jump back and clear that restraining zone.
Oh, you got to have skates on if you're going to jump back.
So it looks like both penalties going against the Edmonton Eskimos.
I think as the game progresses, we're going to see Saskatchewan, as we have now, get Lucius Floyd out of the backfield and really turn him into a 4th or 5th receiver.
Offside, Edmonton number 89. Major foul, spearing, number 44 Edmonton. First down, Saskatchewan.
Leroy Blue and Jeff Braswell get the penalties.
On that same note, you know, Lucius Floyd has been able to step into a situation where McRae went down and really fill in and be the same type of player. He caught 73 passes in only 13 games.
Jeff Braswell scored the first touchdown of the game on an interception, 22-yard return to give Edmonton a 7-0 lead. It's now 14-10 Eskimos. And here's Kent Austin throwing down the seam for Fairholm, who almost made a one-handed catch.
Well, they seem to be really intent on working the seams against the Edmonton secondary and really moving that ball down the field. And I think that's been a bit of a Saskatchewan Roughrider trademark, as they really like to throw to those slot backs in the seams down the field as opposed to using their wide receivers. Although you got to admit, Don Narcisse has had over 1,000 yards this year and done it in a very quiet fashion.
Well, yeah, those are two guys, both Mark Guy and Narcisse. You can't forget about them.
Riders 2nd and 10. The football's at their 41-yard line. A lot of Saskatchewan fans here as Austin took too long. He was changing the play, moving people around, but it took him too long to get it done.
Time count foul. Number 5, Saskatchewan. Still 2nd down.
These clubs met 3 times during the regular season. John Gregory's team won the last 2 games. Edmonton won the first one here at Commonwealth Stadium, a game in which they sacked the Saskatchewan quarterbacks 10 times. 2nd and 15 now as Austin sprints out and throws, and a diving catch is made. No, they say he didn't catch the football. Narcisse, the intended receiver, but they rule he didn't catch it.
Well, that's a heck of an effort by Narcisse. They get the corner, they being the Riders. There goes Floyd. He steps to the right. Watch him get the end man. Right there on Braswell. Keeps the hands down. Narcisse has to stretch up for it, and you see the ball pop through the arms once he hits the ground.
That ground is, not only is it hard, but it's also a little very hilly because of little mounds of snow all around it.
3rd down and 15 from the Saskatchewan 36. Lezecki to punt. And Henry Williams chases it back to the 25 of the Eskimos. The Gizmo trying to find a crack, and there it is. Henry Williams forced out of bounds by Lezecki.
You know, John Gregory yesterday described it probably the best possible way when he described both Albert Brown's abilities and Henry Williams. He says, if you give them a bit, they'll take a lot.
You know, I thought this would be the great equalizer today, that it would, these kind of conditions would take away a little bit from Gizmo's returns and make them more concerned about just catching the ball and getting what they can, but he's still got a pretty good game.
And no one told him.
That was a 37-yard return. I wonder how long it might have been on a good field because he was not able to cut left there, or maybe he could have taken it further. Walling carries on 1st down, and Eddie Lowe is right there to meet him, and that play ends a wide open, action-packed first quarter. Eskimos leading by 4.
You can tell as this first quarter ends that the players are being frustrated by the snow because we have already seen a high number of penalties for a playoff game. The referees have been a big part of this one so far, as an interference call took points away from Saskatchewan, and later in the quarter, another interference call helped Edmonton get their first touchdown. But of all the circumstances in this game, the biggest was Jeff Braswell's interception for a touchdown off of Kent Austin's first pass of the game. That one will mean everything by the time it's all said and done. The second quarter is coming up after the break.
This is our game, where heroes are born. A ritual that bridges cultures, generations, nations.
Canada gets the goal!
A tradition played on roads, rinks, and ponds. It's a part of our culture that raises the nation to tears and cheers. Celebrate our game at the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Who's up for a challenge?
Every year during ski season, this guy Murphy hosts an unofficial scavenger.
He put together this list of all this crazy stuff.
There's a couple of grand up for this year's winners.
Friend? Girlfriend? Crush? Dream team?
What's not to like?
Okay, everybody, we have the results.
Or real disaster? It's 3 times the fun on a new episode of Whistler. Sunday at 10 on CTV.
It's a long way from Trail BC to the majors. Little League World Series, US College Ball, Rookie of the Year, and an All-Star game. I traveled at 1 inning at a time. Hockey's in my blood, but baseball is in my heart. Out here, I'm an all-around player. I can beat you with my bat, my leg, my glove, or my arm. Each time I step up to the plate, or make a throw, I aim for one place. This is my home. This is my sports center.
The TELUS Skins Game, a special year for a great event with a unique fivesome, a bear, a shark, a lion, a kid, and a Canuck. Great golf and fun at the Banff Springs course. A tribute to 5 decades of championship golf, led by legends Jack Nicklaus and Greg Norman. 06 Players Champion Stephen Ames playing at home, and crowd favorites Sergio Garcia and John Daly. The 2006 TELUS Skins Game, tomorrow and Sunday morning at 11:30 on TSN.
Contenders ready!
ESPN Classic is the exclusive home for the groundbreaking series American Gladiators. Catch the action twice a week, every Saturday and Tuesday, as we relive the excitement of Turbo, Nitro, Gemini, and Jazz. Watch the Gladiators take on challengers in games such as Assault, Powerball, Atmosphere, and the Eliminator. American Gladiators every Saturday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and Tuesdays at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. Only on ESPN Classic, where the legends come to play.
We're all smothered in snow here at Commonwealth, but we have some football game going. A minute into the second quarter, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 1st and 10 from their 22-yard line. Milson Jones carrying, and he has a gain of 6, maybe 7. Milson Jones had a personal best for yards rushing this year of 765, and Kent Austin was the number 2 rated quarterback in the CFL behind Tracy Ham.
Well, part of the Rough Rider game plan is anytime that they're going to send the 3 receivers to the wide field and then try to run back in the short field, because the Edmonton secondary rotates away. There's one less man over there to help make the play.
The football is actually nosing the 30. 2nd down and between 3 and 4. Jones has it again. Milson Jones. Good moves and good power. 1st down, Saskatchewan. Talked with Kent Austin, asked about the Eskimo defense and what weaknesses they have, if any.
Well, I really feel like Edmonton's solid in every phase of the defensive game. They've got a good front, pressure the quarterback to play the run real well. They've got good linebackers to pursue the ball. Danny Bass is the key to their linebacking core. He makes great checks on the line of scrimmage. He reads pass routes. He reads formations well. And their secondary covers well. They got 2 really good corners and good halfbacks and solid safety. So there's really, I don't think there's any one part of their defense that you can exploit offensively.
Kent Austin working the running game right now. Milson Jones carried again and picked up 6 more yards.
That's 3 in a row, and I think we're seeing Milson Jones, who does this very well. He stays under control when he hits the line of scrimmage. He doesn't figure that he has to pop through there going 100 miles an hour, but he does figure that he hits in there. If he is under control, he can use those quick feet to his advantage and make a cut, whether it's back or to the hole.
2nd down and 5, Roughriders. Austin throws, wide open Elgard. Ray Elgard still on his feet to the Eskimo 50-yard line, and down there by Shelton.
Well, I've been watching Ray Elgard, and he's doing a lot of running right at the defensive back. He bumps into him, tries to knock him back and create some separation between he and the defender, but then he either just slides off either to the outside or the inside, depending on where the defender is, picking up big yards.
And you know, he does this as well as anybody else. He's got a great little explosion of pump with his arms when he goes to break off in a cut, which does give defenders a hard time.
This is Milson Jones putting his head down and driving forward. Hitting about Milson Jones' weight again yesterday. He's listed at about 230, but that's not nearly what Milson weighs.
Well, regardless of what he weighs, he hits in there. He's a load to stop, as the defenders of Edmonton know, but it's his feet. You know, I'll go back. He's got great feet.
And like you mentioned earlier, he keeps them underneath him, under control underneath him on a slippery field.
He's about 245, reliable sources inform us. 2nd down and 5. Austin releases to Floyd over the middle, but he's grabbed right away and will be just a little bit short of the 1st down. Danny Bass there to make the play.
You heard Ken Austin say how Danny Bass can be the key to this defense. He really is a student of this game. He makes the reads and then steps up. He studies films. He knows what tendencies are when people line up, when he sees certain motions. You know, not only is it physical, but he understands as your career goes on, you have to be smarter than the next guy. And that's why he plays so well.
Well, you do. The other reason is you have to be smarter. You have to work on your techniques and fundamentals more, because let's face it, as you get older, your physical skills deteriorate to some extent. You get a step slower, so you have to make up for that in some other way.
John Gregory has decided to send in some blocking strength and go for it on 3rd down and less than a yard. The ball at the Edmonton 41-yard line. We're 4 minutes into the 2nd quarter at Commonwealth Stadium. The Eskimos lead the Roughriders 14-10.
And you can see the offensive lineman digging in. They want to get that advantage.
Austin keeps it himself. He slips as he tried to drive forward. There's a flag on the play. It looked like Austin got far enough to get the 1st down, but the Eskimos were offside anyway.
Like a couple of bulls in there. You see them scraping the snow away. The offensive linemen, they're just snorting away, getting good footing so they can get that good surge.
Offside, Edmonton, 1st down, Saskatchewan.
Nick, you've played in weather like this. What's the most difficult thing for an offensive lineman on a day like this?
Well, again, trying to get some push on those defensive linemen on the running game. Now, you like it because it's harder for them to pass rush, but you really can't get any sustained foot movement to push them back off the line.
1st down Riders with a penalty. They fake the draw. Austin to Narcisse, complete. He's cut down, but he's deep into Edmonton territory at the 18-yard line.
Boy, and he missed a heck of a collision with Braswell.
Well, he did. He picked his way through there very well, and they ran a crossing pattern on that side with Ray Elgard, and Narcisse starts the outside, comes across the middle. And he said picked his way through there and made the catch.
Narcisse caught 86 passes this year, and he's put Saskatchewan at the Edmonton 18-yard line. Austin complete to Narcisse, and down he goes at the 10. But you can add 8 more yards to his reception total, and Saskatchewan that much closer to taking the lead in this game.
Rarely will a Danny Bass in the middle come up with a wide receiver unless they run a quick slant. As soon as that ball snapped, he's running on a 45-degree angle to that side, anticipating a break to the post or maybe a back coming that way.
2nd down and a long yard to go. The Roughriders at the Eskimo 10-yard line. Austin hands off to Milson Jones, who has the 1st down and has a touchdown. But there is a flag. And it's against Edmonton. The touchdown stands.
The critical thing here, the most important thing, is that look at Milson Jones's shoulders. They're squared to the line of scrimmage. On this type of field, that's very important because you have to be able to make a cut in either direction so you don't commit to one side or the other. Those square shoulders helps him to take it up the field.
The convert is added by Dave Ridgway, and Saskatchewan has taken the lead 17-14. Molson and CFN proud to bring you the best of Canadian football.
Due to CFL blackout regulations, the football game scheduled at this time cannot be seen live in your area. Please stay tuned for our alternate programming.
With more hours of events, TSN HD is Canada's sports leader in high definition. This fall, sports fans get even more news and highlights in HD when SportsCenter goes high definition. Make the move to TSN HD and experience more sports like never before. TSN HD, Canada's sports leader in high definition.
Contenders ready!
ESPN Classic is the exclusive home for the groundbreaking series American Gladiators. Catch the action twice a week, every Saturday and Tuesday, as we relive the excitement of Turbo, Nitro, Gemini, and Jazz. Watch the Gladiators take on challengers in games such as Assault, Powerball, Atmosphere, and the Eliminator. American Gladiators every Saturday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and Tuesdays at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. Only on ESPN Classic, where the legends come to play.
Who's up for a challenge?
Every year during ski season, this guy Murphy hosts an unofficial scavenger.
He puts together this list of all this crazy stuff.
There's a couple of grand up for this year's winners.
Friend, girlfriend, crush, dream team,
What's not to like?
Okay, everybody, we have the results.
or real disaster. It's 3 times the fun on a new episode of Whistler, Sunday at 10 on CTV.
Life's about options. When I take the snap, drop back, read the defense, I have infinite possibilities. And split seconds to decide. In my game, the clock is always running. Sometimes you gotta throw away the playbook and go with your gut. I'm keeping my options wide open. This is my read. This is my Sports Center.
My kind of town, Chicago. Home of the year's last major. Tiger won here with the Medina Country Club in '99. And now the world's #1 player is back. He leads the field as they chase the world's #2, who happens to be the defending champ. The 2006 PGA Championship starts Thursday at 2. And for all the news from the world of golf, tune into SportsCenter Daily on TSN.
ESPN Classic is the exclusive home for classic NWA TNA wrestling action. See stars such as the phenomenal AJ Styles, Jeff Jarrett, the Monster Abyss, Raven, and the members of Team Canada.
Hey, we're Team Canada, and be sure to watch all the non-stop action of TNA wrestling every Wednesday night on ESPN Classic.
NWA TNA Wrestling every Wednesday, only on ESPN Classic, where the legends come to play.
This is the 17th time that Edmonton and Saskatchewan have met in the CFL playoffs. The Eskimos have a 9-7 edge, and they also have the football with 3 minutes left in the first half. A yard to go for a first down, and Tracy Ham, carrying off the right side, gets it to the Saskatchewan 37-yard line.
Well, again, with a sloppy footing, it's probably your best play, only because if you turn to hand it off to one of those running backs, and he doesn't get proper footing and slips, you might be in trouble because you can't get him the ball.
Eskimos were 9-3 at one stage this season and wound up 10-8. Injuries hurt them. They're playing today without Reggie Taylor and Stu Hill, two of their real impact players. First and 10 now from the Saskatchewan 37-yard line. Tracy Ham, lots of time. Boy, he's had time all day, and that pass a little bit underthrown, intended for Marco Sinkar, but both quarterbacks, Nick, have had plenty of time for the most part to throw the ball.
Well, I'm not harping on it, Bob, but it just goes back to what has been, again, with the footing, is that it's very difficult for those defensive linemen to get much of a charge upfield, especially those offensive linemen realize this. They're not going to give them a lot of room to maneuver.
Second and 10, Eskimos at the Saskatchewan 37-yard line. Ham finds Marshall wide open. He's tripped up inside the 25. He'll be 2 yards away, it looks like, from a first down.
Well, right now the Eskimos are having a little bit of success. We saw them going downtown a little earlier in the game. Having a little bit of success right now, just dumping that pass off to their backs.
Both quarterbacks have been fairly successful. 2 interceptions against Austin, but 124 yards to 106 for Tracy Ham, who has been hurt by drop passes by his receivers. Ray McAreedy is on to try a field goal, and this will be a 36-yard attempt. And if he makes it, he'll tie the game. But it stays wide right. Albert Brown in the end zone, thinking about bringing it out, and gets it out to the 1-yard line. 1:57 left in the first half. And Albert Brown brought that wide field goal attempt out, and I'm not sure about the wisdom of that move, although that point, I suppose, could be important somewhere down the road.
Well, it can be. My concern is that you're on the 1-yard line. You're going against the wind. There's just under 2 minutes left in the first half, so you've got to do something with that football right now. You've got to get a couple first downs, and if nothing else, move it so that you can be in a better position to kick it and improve your field position for your defense.
You never want to give away points, but normally that would have been conceded, that single. The Riders at their 1-yard line. There's the toss to Lucius Floyd as flags come down, and Floyd has a gain of 2. Danny Bass again led the tacklers. There is a penalty flag, and it's a procedure call against Saskatchewan. Edmonton will likely decline. 1:53 left in the first half. John Gregory, Saskatchewan Roughriders with a 3-point lead, 17-14.
Legal procedure. Saskatchewan, number 32, declined. Second down.
Gregory is actually worried, Nick, about all the talk about the Eskimos and the turmoil and problems they had. He thinks it might serve to rally them together and fire them up.
Sure, give them a reason to pull together. Who knows what goes on in that locker room.
Austin and the Riders, 2nd down and 8 from their 3-yard line. Austin in the end zone, finds Lucius Floyd up at the 8. But that's 3 yards away from a first down, and so Saskatchewan will have to punt the ball away. Well, they don't have to, but they will.
Well, both quarterbacks are showing good patience right now. If nothing's open down the field, all they're trying to do is just dump the ball off and get a one-on-one situation where if that running back gets that ball, maybe he can make someone miss on these slippery field conditions, pick up that first down.
Mike Lozecki has done a good job in these very, very trying conditions punting the ball today. The wind, again, we tell you, not very strong, but it does favor Edmonton in the second quarter. And the Riders, with 1:34 left in the first half, will punt, and we'll watch it from the end zone. There are flags down. There was some movement. Lozecki kicks the ball. And it goes out of bounds. Or does it? No, it stays in and is finally touched as it reached the sideline. But there are flags on the play. And it looked like Edmonton was offside. And they're pleading for a procedure call against Saskatchewan. And that's what it is. So the Eskimos will decline and take the punt.
Well, I think Lozecki's done an excellent job punting today considering the conditions, and he's actually far superior in his average end during the season. I think it was 37.6 during the season.
Decline. First down, Edmonton.
So the Eskimos have a terrific field position. The ball is at the Saskatchewan 35-yard line. 1:25 left in the half. 17 penalties in the game so far. And these two teams were not among the most penalized. They were among the least penalized during the regular season. But then playoffs, as they say, are a whole new ballgame. Tracy Ham, Ellis wide open, touchdown!
Well, I think it's fairly obvious to see how wide open Craig Ellis was that this is a blown coverage. And if you saw the reaction of Richie Hall after the play, you'll know that as a fact. What had happened is it seems that Albert Brown had the deep section of that field. Richie Hall was going to play up in normally the area that Albert Brown covers. So they were switching assignments. One of them forgot to switch.
McArady adds the convert, and the Eskimos lead 21-17 with 1:19 left in the first half.
You see it to the left of your screen where Craig Ellis is so wide open there, and you don't see Richie Hall, but he was very upset that, again, when you try to switch coverages, you've got to make sure that there's lots of conversation there, that everybody's exactly sure that they're on the same page, running the same defense. This is a, really, Saskatchewan can say it's a cheap touchdown, but those things happen when you don't communicate and you're not sure the defense.
Tracy Ham doesn't often run the length of the field to congratulate anybody on a touchdown, but again, it's playoff time and emotions are at their peak. Tracy Ham certainly has been under a lot of criticism here in Edmonton for the Eskimos' struggles down the stretch, losing 5 of their last 6 games. Some personal problems this week with his father ill in Florida. He went home for a couple of days while his dad had open heart surgery. He's okay or doing well, we're pleased to tell you. And Tracy Ham is doing well today against Saskatchewan as Paul Bushy returns the kickoff to the Saskatchewan 45-yard line.
Well, I guess if a player is frustrated, one of the best ways is to go on the field and do what you're paid to do and do it well. And what that does, it really releases a lot of frustration and helps you to relax and play better football.
Nobody has ever questioned Ham's talent. There are those who wondered about the way he was playing. Kent Austin and the Roughriders now still have lots of time. 1:14 to try and regain the lead. Here's a draw play. Milson Jones. And he gets 5 on the play. Larry Ruck makes the stop on Milson Jones, who's had so many good playoff games in his career. Those are the ones that really stand out.
Well, they do, and he's what you call one of those money players. When the chips are on the line, he responds.
2nd down and 5. Austin from the shotgun. Plenty of time. And he finds Mark Guy coming back across the middle, and Guy is a 1st down. Moving the football, I think, to the Saskatchewan 52-yard line. Actually, that's into Edmonton territory, Nick. I'm sorry, at the 53.
Sorry, Bob. I think that's a smart play on Mark Guy's part. You saw him try to run laterally and pick up a blocker and turn it to the outside. Best to do what he did. Just turn it upfield when you get a chance.
Austin to throw, and the pass is low. Intended for Lucius Floyd, who had moved into a pass receiving position, as he so often does. 54 seconds left in the 1st half.
Well, one of the reasons that pass wasn't quite there was that Ken Austin had a little more pressure than he wanted that time. Ken Moore was slipping, and he got pushed back by Leroy Blue. And again, if a quarterback's throwing off that back foot, he just doesn't get as much on the ball as he'd like.
2nd and 10. Eskimos at the, or Saskatchewan rather, at the Eskimo 53-yard line. Austin to Lucius Floyd, and he's open down the middle, but he can't hang on. They really didn't catch the ball.
Well, that's a play that they've come back to on a number of occasions, and you saw that one time where Lucius Floyd fell down and the ball was intercepted. But what they're trying to do is just almost put him out the perimeter, sneak him over the middle, and they know that a linebacker has to pick him up. They figure that's a good matchup for the Roughriders.
Kind of difficult for us to tell whether or not he did catch the ball, but the official was right there and waved it off. And Mike Wozecki will punt. 49 seconds left now in the 1st half. The ball at the Edmonton 53. Gizmo Williams, the only man back. Saskatchewan has been known to run fakes off these plays. Not this time. Wozecki punts and doesn't punt very well. It goes out of bounds at the Eskimo 30-yard line, 29-yard line. So Edmonton still with 42 seconds left if they wish to try and take the ball downfield. Either that or they'll try to grind out the time and take that 4-point lead to the dressing room.
You know, I've never punted a ball, but I can imagine that ball gets cold and hard. It must be really difficult to get any distance on it.
Well, and while they are changing the footballs throughout the game, they are not keeping them warm anywhere. So they come in hard. 1st down handoff goes to Brian Walling, and he gets 2 yards on the play. Chuck Klingbeil made the stop. 37 seconds left in the 1st half.
That was a good job that time by Chuck Klingbeil, just plugging up the middle, controlling it, and not really giving that runner anywhere to go.
Second and 8, Eskimos. Ball on the 32.
Bit of a delay. One of the officials was way down in the Edmonton end zone for some reason. Now time is whistled in. Tracy Ham on 2nd and 8. And he fakes the handoff, and he'll keep it himself. Tracy Ham spinning and diving ahead for a 1st down for the Eskimos. 26 seconds left in the half. And Ham is up to the Edmonton 45-yard line.
Well, this is a thing that made Tracy Ham a legend in college. But the old option play, he fakes the option, keeps it himself, just turns it up the field. And it's really a safe play. You don't have to hand the ball off to anyone in bad weather conditions.
Ham will throw now. Releasing out of the backfield is big Blake Marshall, and he gains 7. 15 seconds left in the half.
Well, the Roughriders are going to just drop off in coverage and make sure that everything happens in front of them. They come up and make the play.
But the Eskimos might take a timeout here and try to get 2 plays organized and get within field goal range. Here's a draw play to Walling. Still on his feet, Brian Walling. He's into field goal territory with 4 seconds left in the half.
Well, as Neil mentioned earlier, that's a good play to run on a day like today because those linemen, defensive linemen charge upfield. It's very hard for them to change direction and give chase to the runner.
The ball is at the 39 of the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
You see it here. It's easy blocking. You just turn your man to the side, let the back pick his way, and it's very difficult for them to plant their feet and drag the running back down, Walling in this case.
46-yard field goal try by McAreedy. This will be the final play of the first half, unless we have a penalty. And it's short. Albert Brown will run it out. And down he goes at the 7-yard line. And so the Eskimos will have to be content with a 4-point halftime lead, 21-17 over Saskatchewan. Nick, are you surprised at all the scoring, given the weather conditions?
I guess I'd have to be, because normally you'd anticipate it being a low-scoring affair. First team to make a mistake is going to be the one that might end up on the short end of the score.
Ray McAreedy does not have the leg strength of David Ridgway. That is no secret, and that kick was just a little bit too much for him to handle. Tracy Ham had an excellent first half. Number of passes dropped, but his Edmonton Eskimos have a 4-point lead over Saskatchewan.
At halftime of the 1990 Western semifinal, Edmonton leads by 4. The field conditions have become an offensive advantage, but the one weapon we have yet to see is Tracy Ham as a running back. On this type of surface, a quarterback of Ham's mobility is very dangerous and could make the difference in the game. But watch for Milson Jones to run a little magic of his own early in the third. The third quarter is coming up after this.
I spend most of my weekends driving in rush hour, bumper to bumper, with no horns. Works for me. I won my first championship when I was 8. I felt on top of the world. I love the speed, the thrill of the chase, leading the pack, and the taste of victory. They say getting there is half the fun. To me, winning's everything. Each time I race, I'm chasing after more than a checkered flag. I'm chasing a dream. This is what drives me. This is my sports center.
Contenders ready!
ESPN Classic is the exclusive home for the groundbreaking series American Gladiators. Catch the action twice a week, every Saturday and Tuesday, as we relive the excitement of Turbo, Nitro, Gemini, and Jazz. Watch the Gladiators take on challengers in games such as Assault, Powerball, Atmosphere, and the Eliminator. American Gladiators every Saturday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and Tuesdays at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. Only on ESPN Classic, where the legends come to play.
The TELUS Skids Game, a special year for a great event with a unique fivesome, a bear, a shark, a lion, a kid, and a Canuck. Great golf and fun at the Banff Springs course. A tribute to 5 decades of championship golf, led by legends Jack Nicklaus and Greg Norman, 06 Players champion Stephen Ames playing at home, and crowd favorites Sergio Garcia and John Daly. The 2006 TELUS Skids Game, tomorrow and Sunday morning at 11:30 on TSN.
Who's up for a challenge?
Every year during ski season, this guy Murphy hosts an unofficial scavenger hunt.
He put together this list of all this crazy stuff.
There's a couple of grand up for this year's winners.
Friend, girlfriend, crush, dream team,
What's not to like?
Okay, everybody, we have the results.
or real disaster. It's 3 times the fun on a new episode of Whistler, Sunday at 10 on CTV.
With more hours in defense, TSN HD is Canada's sports leader in high definition. This fall, sports fans get even more news and highlights in HD when SportsCenter goes high definition. Make the move to TSN HD and experience more sports like never before. TSN HD, Canada's sports leader in high definition.
-9 was the temperature at game time. I can guarantee you it is not a lot warmer than that right now. And it's been snowing since just before the start of the game. And there's no sign of that letting up. Bushy has a lot of trouble with that kickoff. Finally picks it up and then finds some room. This is Paul Bushy, and he's inside the Edmonton 50-yard line.
Paul Bushy returning that kickoff.
So Saskatchewan has very good field position at the 49 of the Eskimos. Milson Jones to the 40 and close to the 39. Almost a 10-yard run for Milson Jones. Kent Austin and Tracy Ham, a look at their first half numbers. Ham was slightly more yards than Austin, and again we point out that Ham had 3 passes dropped that might have put him over 200 yards or very close to it. Tracy Ham, I thought, played very well in that first half.
He did, and he seemed to maintain his poise well, sometimes under that Saskatchewan pass rush.
And Austin didn't play badly either, and these are very, very difficult conditions for the quarterbacks as Milson Jones carries off the right side. Milson Jones, touchdown Saskatchewan.
Milson Jones, the ball carrier, 40-yard touchdown run for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
You know, the way the Roughriders came out in the second half, John Gregory probably gave them a real good talking to in the locker room. Now, John Gregory is a very fiery coach, very competitive. He probably didn't like what he saw out there, and he said, let's forget about the weather, let's forget about the referees, let's go out and play hard. And you see it right there.
Well, you know, Milson Jones, we talked about his power and his quick feet, and there you see the deceptive speed that he has. He got outside and he put it into high gear, and into the end zone he goes. Ridgway with the convert, and Saskatchewan has regained the lead 24-21 over the Edmonton Eskimos. That score coming 1 minute and 4 seconds into the second half.
They made it look pretty easy. They started off with real good field position. That certainly helped.
You talked earlier about John Gregory being hot at the end of the first half. I'll tell you what, hot doesn't describe it. He must have warmed them fellas up real quick, because I think what he was upset with was the referees. But, you know, you got to play by the referees, and I think he understands that. And the way you do it is the plays like Milson Jones just produced right there. Pretty good numbers.
Well, he said he's a money guy, and as you said, great numbers, and he just seems to rise to these occasions. Loves to play in a pressure situation.
And he makes great adjustments running with the football.
That was a 40-yard touchdown run by Milson Jones. Ridgway's kickoff is bounced down to the Edmonton 40-yard line. And it's returned across center field by Chris Johnstone to the Saskatchewan 52-yard line. You know, these really are deplorable conditions in which to play a football game, but what a game these two teams are giving us.
Oh, it's not that bad out there.
First and 10 Eskimos.
Tracy Ham and the Edmonton Eskimos now from the Saskatchewan 53-yard line. Lots of time for Ham, who throws long, and it's no good. Albert Brown with the coverage on Keith Wright.
Well, they wanted to start bombs away at the start of the football game, and obviously at the start of the second half, it's the same thing. Now, I thought both teams might try and settle down and work a ball control type of offense down the field. Well, obviously, I'm wrong.
Well, the game has gone back and forth. Craig Ellis heading out to the left with Keith Wright. 2nd and 10, Eskimos. Ham. Now he'll take off and run. Albright is there along with Rasevich. There's a flag down as Tracy Ham runs for 7 yards. There's a penalty flag on the play. And there have been a lot of penalty flags this afternoon. More than any of us like to see.
Well, the Rough Rider defensive line played that pretty well that time, closing in the pocket around Tracy Ham.
Holding, Saskatchewan number 42. First down, Edmonton.
But I was saying, you saw how deceptive he is. He just took it up the field and managed to escape at the last move.
How many defensive linemen in this league believe, and actually almost to the point of thinking they got Tracy Ham, think they have him, and then he's gone? I mean, he can accelerate when he gets that little gap, when he gets upfield quick.
Holding against Eddie Lowe, and Ham hands off to Blake Marshall. Bobby Jurison and Chuck Klingbeil made the stop. Marshall picked up close to 5 yards. Chuck Klingbeil, the outstanding defensive player in last year's Saskatchewan Grey Cup victory.
The Eskimos that time lined up 4 receivers to the left and gave the ball to Marshall. They're really trying to get Saskatchewan to commit to that side and catch them unawares.
And this is the area of the football field, according to the facts and stats, that Ham likes to go to Ellis if he throws the ball.
2nd and 5 from the 37, and Ham hands off to Brian Walling. He's across the 35 of Saskatchewan, close to the 34, and about a yard away from a first down. And the Eskimos will send in some blocking power. They will not attempt a field goal from here. When you're a yard away or inside, you go for it.
The Elephants are in that short yardage situation. Also interesting to note that the Eskimos started Ellis and Smith at the slots. And Marco Sincar's been in for the majority of the latter part of the second half and is in there now when the regular offensive sets in.
3rd down in the yard, Eskimos. Saskatchewan 35, and off the left side, Blake Marshall has the yard and 2 or 3 more. Michael Soles with the football and not Blake Marshall.
Well, again, running between the tackles, just trying to get a seam. And those offensive linemen, a lot of the times, what they're going to do is they're going to take extra splits and just create a hole naturally by splitting those defenders out, making each man cover a little more territory.
Eskimos trailing by 3. 1st and 10, Saskatchewan 30. Tracy Ham, and finally he will be stopped after maybe a gain of half a yard. Gary Lewis, Albright, and Goldsmith all there to make the stop.
Tracy Ham is all quarterbacks with his style stretch defenses. Klingbeil makes his penetration, then tries to get laterally, and you want to talk about slugging it out. Look, check the pants out. I mean, there's blood everywhere on the guy.
I like the fact he's got bare arms. There's a defensive lineman there. That's a tough guy. That's a psych job there. I'm not cold.
I wonder whose blood that is.
Well, I think it's his.
Klingbeil doesn't care. I'll guarantee you that. Wide open is Keith Wright, and that's a first down for the Eskimos. Albert Brown playing way off Keith Wright, and he has a first down inside the Saskatchewan 20-yard line.
Well, and the opportunity as a quarterback, there's different reads. This read takes Tracy Ham to the 3rd receiver to that side. He's out in the flat, wide open. Albert Brown can't show Wright that much respect.
You see my favorite action in the middle of the line here. Rod Knopp's doing a good job, just not giving him any room, getting those hands up inside, not letting him get a push on him.
From the 18-yard line, 1st and 10. Walling with a little dump off from Tracy Ham, and what hitting on that play as Walling picks up 4 yards that he paid a price for.
Seems to be for both teams that the Canadian running backs are really coming to the fore and basically just running between the tackles and taking those little control passes over the middle.
But you know, the other thing is, if Saskatchewan continues to drop their linebackers that deep as they did in the first half, they'll dump the ball to Soles, Marshall, and Walling. I mean, why not? They're going to catch it at 6 or 7 yards, and maybe break a tackle and get more.
Walling actually got to the 10, so it's 2nd down and 3 Eskimos from the Saskatchewan 10. Hand off to Marshall, and he's into the 5, and that's a first down for the Eskimos, who led the CFL this year in average yards offense per game, 428 yards per game.
You know, Neil, further to what you're saying, I think the other thing with that is that once you force that defense to react to what you're doing, you're starting to control the tempo of the game, or starting to control what kind of defenses you want to see to make the other team go out of what they're doing or what they like to do.
Eskimos down by 3, have a chance to regain the lead. 1st and goal, Saskatchewan 6. Ham completes it to the 2-yard line. Brian Walling, who's been quite a factor in this game, and Joe Ferragelli told us yesterday if we have a running back who's going to be a factor, it'll be Brian Walling.
Isn't that the truth? Boy, he's run the ball well. Walling's 3rd back out to the wide side of the field, which means he's either picked up by a linebacker or the safety. Suter has to respect the offensive set and then move late on Walling. That's a tough coverage for him. As you see, if Walling doesn't slip, he's in the end zone. That's a tough situation to cover.
Good point.
Walling comes out of the game. Michael Soles goes in. Blake Marshall's in there as well. 2nd and goal from the 2-yard line. Ham hands off on the right side. Blake Marshall has a touchdown. There is a flag on the play, though.
Offside, Saskatchewan, number 79, decline. Touchdown.
Describe it how you like. It's pretty basic, isn't it?
Well, it is, and the idea is you send the two big backs up either side, so that doesn't really let the defense key which side you're going. Quarterback will just turn it to the back that he wants, and most cases with Edmonton, I think it's going to be Blake Marshall in that area.
And the ideal situation, if the offensive line, the backs do their job, there's one man and it's a defensive back. I'll take the running back in that situation.
McArady adds the convert. 28-24 Eskimos. You're watching Molson Canadian Football Network.
Due to CFL blackout regulations, the football game scheduled at this time cannot be seen live in your area. Please stay tuned for our alternate programming.
As a member of the Canadian Broadcast Standards Council, TSN is committed to the highest standards of broadcasting and adheres to the codes of conduct of the Canadian Association of Broadcasters. If you have a concern about something viewed on our service or under the Statement of Principles and Practices regarding journalistic independence, write to CBSC at P.O. Box 3265, Station D, Ottawa, Ontario, K1P 6H8, or email complaints@cbsc.ca. To obtain a copy of the Statement of Principles and Practices, write us at P.O. Box 9, Station O, Toronto, Ontario, M482M9.
ESPN Classic is the exclusive home for classic NWA TNA wrestling action. See stars such as the phenomenal AJ Styles, Jeff Jarrett, the Monster Abyss, Raven, and the members of Team Canada.
Hey, we're Team Canada, and be sure to watch all the non-stop action of TNA wrestling every Wednesday night on ESPN Classic.
NWA TNA wrestling every Wednesday, only on ESPN Classic, where the legends come to play.
My kind of town, Chicago, home of the year's last major. Tiger won here at the Medina Country Club in '99, and now the world's #1 player is back. He leads the field as they chase the world's #2, who happens to be the defending champ. The 2006 PGA Championship starts Thursday at 2. And for all the news from the world of golf, tune into SportsCenter Daily on TSN. With more hours in defense, TSN HD is Canada's sports leader in high definition. This fall, sports fans get even more news and highlights in HD when SportsCenter goes high definition. Make the move to TSN HD and experience more sports like never before. TSN HD, Canada's sports leader in high definition.
Flutie flushed. Throws it down. Caught by Boston College. I don't believe it. It's a touchdown. The Eagles win it.
Well, thanks to our friends at the CBC and the National Defense Department, all CFL playoff games are being taped and being sent to our Canadian forces who are around the world. And on this Remembrance Day, our thoughts are with all of those people. As we are at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton, 4:21 left in the third quarter, and a one-point game in the West Division semifinal. And how'd you like to have to make a call on this one now as to who's going to win? How could you have the faintest idea? You couldn't. Second down and 9, Eskimos at their 36-yard line. Tracy Ham throws. Good catch by Todd Smith, who dropped one earlier. He comes up with a big grab there.
Well, David Albright out of the middle has to come out in that coverage. Richie Hall, you just saw his feet take off. He comes on a blitz to that side of the field, which puts the onus and the pressure on David Albright to get to that area quickly and take that hot pass away. We talked about picking up the blitz and what the defense is going to do. Tracy Ham read it and threw it to the right guy.
That's exactly it. And a lot of times you see a middle linebacker in that situation start to cheat over that way a little bit, knowing that that's where they're most vulnerable.
Marco Sinkar comes into the game for Smith. 1st and 10, Eskimos at their 45-yard line. The toss to Walling, gets away from the first rider. Goldsmith makes contact, but Walling is across the 50, close to the 51, about a 6-yard advancement. Boy, the hits on a day like this, too, they hurt just a little bit more, don't they?
Well, you can get some pretty good pops when you hear them. Look at Eddie Lowe up the field, how quickly he turns the play back inside. I think he wanted to make the tackle, but he does turn Walling back in to where his other 11 buddies make the play.
2nd down and 4. Eskimos from their 51-yard line. Ham, Walling wide open. He's to the Saskatchewan 50, to the 45. Brian Walling. All the way to the 15.
Well, we talked about the Edmonton Eskimos. Again, the simplest passes to make, usually just the little ones to the backs coming out of the backfield. Put them on a one-on-one situation. If you can make a couple people miss in this situation, then you're off to a big gain. Exactly what happens here.
What an exceptional effort by Brian Walling.
Down to the Saskatchewan 15-yard line. And Walling has the ball again. To the 10, the 5. Cut down at the 1.
Eskimos set the formation. They have 3 receivers to the wide side of the field. Walling's the only one left in the backfield. Watch the front of the offensive line. Set as if it's a pass. Turn the defensive lineman. Create a direction for them to go and let Brian Walling make a decision.
Well, these delay or draw type plays, both teams are running them, and both teams have been very effective with them.
1st and goal, Eskimos. Brian Walling won't get to finish it off. He's out of the game. Blake Marshall gets that job, and he's into the end zone, but there's a flag on the play.
Well, you know, you mentioned earlier, Bob, that a lot of times a big fullback like that takes his own offensive lineman, hits him in the back. Chris Johnstone in that particular situation, I guarantee you tomorrow he's going to have a nice bruise in the middle of his back.
Tell you what, in short yardage, don't be standing around near the goal line. You better put your head down and get yourself in the end zone or block somebody, or you're going to get knocked down.
That's right. Either you're against me, you're helping me, or if you're in the way, it doesn't matter. I'm going to take you out of there.
2nd touchdown of the 3rd quarter for Blake Marshall. And the Eskimos are up by 7. McAreedy can make it 8. And he does. 35-27. Edmonton leading with 1.5 minutes left in the 3rd quarter.
Johnstone, see him lead there, and he slows down a bit in the hole. Good cutoff block on Alapade by the offensive lineman. Just create a scene. You don't need much, and you don't want much in here. You want to be able to deliver a blow. Look at McConnell.
Andrew McConnell, he did a heck of a job there. I mean, he's 290 pounds. He should get some movement on somebody.
Blake Marshall, he's the guy who normally gets it down there in that touchdown range. He scored 13 touchdowns this year. And the Eskimos now have an 8-point advantage, and that's the biggest lead in the game since Edmonton was ahead 7-0 in the early going.
With those penalties on the touchdown, that'll be tacked onto the kickoff here, so McAreedy will be kicking it off. Looks like pretty close to the 50-yard line, which will put Saskatchewan a little bit deeper than they might used to be starting their drive.
There was an offside penalty which was declined, and a face masking penalty as well against Saskatchewan. Now can Saskatchewan answer back once again? Critical part of the game for them as McAreedy kicks off. Orville Lee with it. And Orville Lee has a big return for the Roughriders down the sideline into Edmonton territory.
Orville Lee has really put some pep into the return teams of the Roughriders. Up until that point, they felt that they weren't getting the most out of their special teams. Part of that was because they had a lot of rookies, and week to week, John Gregory felt they were a little bit inconsistent. But this man right there has really added a lot to those special teams. And here again, they just come right back, and 2 very well-coached teams going at it here.
Albert Brown actually outran Orville Lee to try to make a block for him. Great effort. A 54-yard return to the Edmonton 44-yard line. Lucius Floyd on the carry. And after hesitating, he was able to find an opening and pick up 4, maybe 5 yards.
Well, that hesitation seems to be the key. We've seen Brian Walling do it. We've seen Milson Jones, and having that awareness of being able to hit in there under control, slow down a little bit, and then find your seam and hit up in there. We've seen them, not only do they hit up in there, but they pop loose.
2nd down and 7. Saskatchewan at the Edmonton 40-yard line. 30 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Austin gets away. Oh, he looked like he was done, and now almost has it picked off. Ken Austin was in big trouble, somehow was able to get away, and then couldn't find a receiver open.
Well, when he rolled to the right side, once the pressure had forced him out of the pocket, he looked for Fairholm. Larry Ruck from that short side of the field in his linebacker spot. That was almost picked off, too. You know, when you come to a short side of the field, everyone gravitates to where the quarterback's going.
Well, that's one of the few times that the Eskimos have actually sent more than the 4 down linemen on a blitz, and you might see more of that if they figure they're going to have a chance to get to the quarterback.
Dave Ridgway will try a 47-yard field goal, has a little bit of wind with him. Suter gets it down. Ridgway has it up in the air, but it's short and to the right. And Henry Williams is bringing it back. Look out. Ridgway cuts down the gizmo. And that play ends the 3rd quarter at Commonwealth Stadium.
Who's up for a challenge?
Every year during ski season, this guy Murphy hosts an unofficial scavenger.
He put together this list of all this crazy stuff.
There's a couple of grand up for this year's winners.
Friend, girlfriend, crush, dream team,
What's not to like?
Okay, everybody, we have the results.
or real disaster. It's 3 times the fun on a new episode of Whistler. Sunday at 10 on CTV.
Contenders ready?
ESPN Classic is the exclusive home for the groundbreaking series American Gladiators. Catch the action twice a week, every Saturday and Tuesday, as we relive the excitement of Turbo, Nitro, Gemini, and Jazz. Watch the Gladiators take on challengers in games such as Assault, Powerball, Atmosphere, and the Eliminator. American Gladiators every Saturday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and Tuesdays at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. Only on ESPN Classic, where the legends come to play.
It's a long way from Trail BC to the majors. Little League World Series, US College Ball, Rookie of the Year, and an All-Star game. I traveled at 1 inning at a time. Hockey's in my blood, but baseball is in my heart. Out here, I'm an all-around player. I can beat you with my bat, my leg, my glove, or my arm. Each time I step up to the plate or make a throw, I aim for one place. This is my home. This is my sports center.
ESPN Classic is the exclusive home for classic NWA TNA wrestling action. See stars such as the phenomenal AJ Styles, Jeff Jarrett, the Monster Abyss, Raven, and the members of Team Canada.
Hey, we're Team Canada, and be sure to watch all the non-stop action of TNA wrestling every Wednesday night on ESPN Classic.
NWA TNA wrestling every Wednesday, only on ESPN Classic, where the legends come to play.
2 Blake Marshall touchdowns allowed Edmonton to maintain its 8-point lead as we get set for the 4th quarter. All Edmonton needs is 1 more major, and they will move on to the Western Final. It's also time for the defense to step up and control the 4th quarter. 62 points have been scored so far, and by now, the defensive linemen, linebackers, and secondary should have adjusted to the snow and ice. This playoff game will not be decided by the kickers. It will be decided by a touchdown or a big defensive play. Let's see what unfolds in the 4th.
A big return by Henry Williams on a wide field goal try by Dave Ridgway has put the Edmonton Eskimos in good position at center field to start the 4th quarter. They're ahead by 8 points. Tracy Ham fakes the toss, and he throws long, intending it for Keith Wright, and Albert Brown had the best shot at it down at the 5-yard line.
Albert Brown had good position that time, running on the outside of the receiver, and what that does, it enables him to look back just like the receiver can to see when that ball's in the air and then make his break for the football.
And not affected by the play action that Tracy Ham faking the sweep to Walling.
Saskatchewan is 1-9 this season when they are trailing in the fourth quarter, going into the fourth quarter. Wide open is Keith Wright on second down, and he has it down to the Saskatchewan 36-yard line. Again, Albert Brown was way off the wide receiver, Keith Wright.
Now, I understand that Albert Brown is concerned because the play before, Keith Wright took him deep, and he doesn't want to get beat deep. But one thing that he has to do, if at all possible, is when he comes out of his back pedal, makes a break on the ball, he has to get there in a hurry. He's giving too much of a cushion.
Eskimos. Boy, they could really take charge if they can take it in here. Handoff through the middle. Blake Marshall carrying, and he'll have 4, maybe 5 yards. Well, Joe Ferragelli has gone to the skidoo suit now. Did he have that on earlier?
Yeah, he's had it on all game.
I've noticed his toque so much today. I like his toque. I haven't had a chance to look at what else he's wearing. 2nd and 5, Eskimos. And the pass is no good. Intended for Larry Willis against Albert Brown.
There were a lot of questions asked of Joe Ferragelli at the press conference yesterday if he believed, especially after the last 5 or 6 weeks here in Edmonton, did he think his team was ready to play? And he said, you know what, after all these years of coaching and seeing all sorts of types of players, I haven't got a clue. I mean, there is no way of knowing whether your team is ready to play. Practices are not an indication.
No, they're not. It's very hard. I think it's very hard to read the mood of a team. He says, oh, we either left it on the practice field or we didn't practice hard enough. Who can guess?
And that's where all those cliches come from. Sure, that question.
Ray McCready, a 40-yard field goal try. He has the distance, but it's wide left. Albert Brown with it, and he will concede a single point, which puts Edmonton ahead 36-27, just into the fourth quarter.
Due to CFL blackout regulations, the football game scheduled at this time cannot be seen live in your area. Please stay tuned for our alternate programming.
This is our game, where heroes are born. A ritual that bridges cultures, generations, nations. A tradition played on roads, rinks, and ponds. It's a part of our culture that raises the nation to tears and cheers. Celebrate our game at the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Life's about options. When I take the snap, drop back, read the defense, I have infinite possibilities. And split seconds to decide. In my game, the clock is always running. Sometimes you gotta throw away the playbook and go with your gut. I'm keeping my options wide open. This is my read. This is my Sports Center.
My kind of town, Chicago. Home of the year's last major. Tiger won here at the Medina Country Club in '99. And now the world's #1 player is back. He leads the field as they chase the world's #2, who happens to be the defending champ. The 2006 PGA Championship starts Thursday at 2. And for all the news from the world of golf, tune into Sports Center Daily on TSN.
Contenders ready!
ESPN Classic is the exclusive home for the groundbreaking series American Gladiators. Catch the action twice a week, every Saturday and Tuesday, as we relive the excitement of Turbo, Nitro, Gemini, and Jazz. Watch the Gladiators take on challengers in games such as Assault, Powerball, Atmosphere, and the Eliminator. American Gladiators every Saturday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and Tuesdays at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. Only on ESPN Classic, where the legends come to play.
7:52, that's the time left in the fourth quarter. The Saskatchewan Roughriders down by 9 in the West semifinal. They have the ball, 1st and 10 at their 47-yard line. Austin throws complete to Narcisse at center field for a gain of 8 yards. We haven't seen a lot of Ray Elgard lately, gentlemen.
Well, Blake Dermott snaps the ball in the punt. He also made a heck of a play on Orville Lee, but if you're wondering why his hand is being held out, it's because he dislocated one of his fingers. And if you got a weak stomach, that's not the type of thing you want to be looking at, because the doctors will just give it a yank somewhere in there. Looks like his left hand, the way he comes up with it. That will keep him out.
Taping it back in position. Here's a handoff on 2nd and 2, and Orville Lee is just clobbered by Danny Bass and Jeff Braswell.
Stopped by Jeff Braswell of the Eskimos.
Well, the Eskimos right now, I think what they're trying to do is just to send those defensive linemen into the gaps and then let guys like Braswell and Bass and Ruck flow to the football. And of course, all week they've been looking at film. They can read their keys, and a lot of it, I think, is where Ray Algard goes, because he's the big slot back. That seems to be where that football is going to go in the running play.
And again, the absence of Milson Jones is magnified as Saskatchewan failed on that 2nd down and short. Their 3rd and about 1.5 yards. And this time, John Gregory will punt. Wozecki gets a good bounce. Henry Williams back to his 10-yard line. And he's not able to stay in bounds. A hit by Lucius Floyd just knocked him enough to the outside that his momentum took him out of bounds. But a good return nonetheless by Williams, and Braswell really put a block on a Saskatchewan player.
That's an understatement. Tell you, when you get a guy coming down into cover punt, and you're going to see it to the right side of the screen, get ready and whoop. Tell you, Braswell's had some impact, and I don't just mean on his hits today.
I mean, he put him up into, he made a snowdrift there. He really piled up that snow when he hit him. That tremendous shot.
Tracy Ham to Brian Walling. Walling's had a huge game, and he adds another 9 or 10 yards to his collection.
Braswell came up with his beard full of snow and his hair full of snow after that hit. And I'd say, gentlemen, right now that the pressure is squarely on the shoulders of the Saskatchewan defense. They got to shut this offense of Edmonton down, stop them, and give that offense of the Riders a chance to move, because as of late, the sequence has been 2 and out for the Saskatchewan Roughriders on offense.
Well, it has, and the Eskimos have tried to put together some drives here, just picking up those first downs, trying to show some patience, eating up that clock. And again, that's their big enemy right now, and they've got to force a turnover, get this ball back.
5 minutes and 55 seconds left in the 4th quarter. 36-27 Edmonton. Eskimos first down at their 44, and a pass is complete. The Riders surround Craig Ellis, but he'll have a gain of close to 7 yards on the play. A lot of talk, of course, about all the points the Argos have scored this year, but Edmonton was 2nd in the league, points per game at 34.
Watching Ellis come off the line of scrimmage, his eyes are focused squarely on the quarterback. I mean, he knows by the defense the ball's coming to him.
The Rough Riders swarmed around him pretty quick too, so you know they're keen on him.
2nd down and 3. Eskimos. Handoff left side, Johnstone. Chris Johnstone carrying. He'll be close to the first down, but I think he was stopped just short. And just to finish off what I was saying about Edmonton's offense, 1st in yards per game, 1st in yards rushing per game in the CFL, and 1st in first downs. So while the Argos deserve credit for all the things they've done scoring points, don't forget, we're talking about an Edmonton offense that is among the best, if not the best, in certain areas in the league.
Well, I think the indicator that it's a ball control type of situation with them in a lot of games is the number of first downs that they get. I think Toronto, you know, they have that big strike capability, much more so than some other teams. But Edmonton, here today, evidence they're content to grind it out.
And the other thing is the Eskimos, while losing 5 of their last 6, didn't show that offense, but we're seeing it. It's back today. Eskimos are short of the first down. Looks like they'll go for it with 5 minutes left. At their own 53.5-yard line. Tracy Ham with a little help from behind, and he looks like he has the first down.
You're right, Bob. It didn't look initially that he was going to get it. And he took a hit. Michael Sauls hits him in the back. It just helps to push him forward. Inadvertently or not, apparently it's got them what they needed. Just pile it up in there, and the last person pushing wins.
So the Eskimos get to run some more time off that clock. 4:20 left, and it's running. And Edmonton first down at center field. Handoff, Walling on a draw. Jurison has him and stops the gain at about 3 yards. And the ball comes out. No signal yet.
I think the ball came out after the whistle.
The play had been whistled dead. Klingbeil has the football.
Other thing the Riders have to be concerned of is we see Walling sort of a delay hitting the ball comes out right now. Ooh, that was a close one.
Been a lot of close ones today.
To finish my thought, they're just, they being the Riders aren't just down by 7. They have to score twice to get back in this football game, and there's not a whole lot of time left.
ESPN Classic is the exclusive home for classic NWA TNA wrestling action. See stars such as the phenomenal AJ Styles, Jeff Jarrett, the Monster Abyss, Raven, and the members of Team Canada.
Hey, we're Team Canada, and be sure to watch all the non-stop action of TNA wrestling every Wednesday night on ESPN Classic.
NWA TNA Wrestling every Wednesday, only on ESPN Classic, where the legends come to play.
With more hours of defense, TSN HD is Canada's sports leader in high definition. This fall, sports fans get even more news and highlights in HD when SportsCenter goes high definition. Make the move to TSN HD and experience more sports like never before. TSN HD, Canada's sports leader in high definition.
Who's up for a challenge?
Every year during ski season, this guy Murphy hosts an unofficial scavenger hunt.
He put together this list of all this crazy stuff.
There's a couple of grand up for this year's winners.
Friend, girlfriend, crush, dream team,
What's not to like?
Okay, everybody, we have the results.
or real disaster. It's 3 times the fun on a new episode of Whistler, Sunday at 10 on CTV.
I spend most of my weekends driving in rush hour, bumper to bumper, with no horns. Works for me. I won my first championship when I was 8. I felt on top of the world. I love the speed, the thrill of the chase, leading the pack, and the taste of victory. They say getting there is half the fun. To me, winning's everything. Each time I race, I'm chasing after more than a checkered flag. I'm chasing a dream. This is what drives me. This is my sports center.
Second down and 8, Edmonton Eskimos. The football in Saskatchewan territory. Tracy Ham moves to his right. Goldsmith giving chase, but he can't get him, and Ham down the sidelines, and he has the first down for the Eskimos. Blake Dermott, who dislocated his finger a few plays ago, having more trouble with it, and he may have to come out of the game. First and 10, Eskimos, the ball at their 38-yard line. Tracy Ham throws, and it's knocked down at the line by Albright. Dangerous play from an Eskimo perspective.
Oh, and a good play by Albright.
3:04 left in the fourth quarter. Edmonton ahead by 9. Todd Storm is into the game at left tackle, replacing Blake Dermott, as Edmonton is 2nd and 10 at the Saskatchewan 38. Tracy Ham throws. Sinkar is open inside the 20, the 30, pardon me, to the 28. It'll be very close to a first down.
There you go. There's that recognition, the adjustment the slot bat makes. Halfback's coming, Richie Hall. The safety has to come over and make the play immediately. Sinkar goes to the flat. Tracy Ham doesn't even think about going anywhere else. Recognize the defense and the execution.
Has Tracy Ham played some game today?
Well, he's played up to his capabilities, I think. He's struggled in the past few weeks for whatever reasons, as that whole team has. But yeah, he's back to where people expect him to be.
Well, the Eskimos have lost their last 2 home playoff games, 1988 to BC, last year to Saskatchewan. Today they're trying to change that trend, and it looks like they might. 2 minutes, 40 seconds left. Eskimos first down at the Saskatchewan 28-yard line. And a fake to Souls, and boy, did the Riders ever buy it, and Ham's down inside the 15.
Well, they say when you play Edmonton, you don't play a two-man backfield, you play a three-man backfield. There are plays designed in this offensive book for the Eskimos for Tracy Ham to tuck it and go.
Well, see, what they've done is most of the game they've been working between the tackles. Now, later in the game when they need those first downs, the only guy that they're going to go outside with is Tracy Ham. He doesn't have to make any pitch, toss, or handoff. Keep it yourself and run. He's got the capability.
From the Saskatchewan 14, first and 10 Eskimos. And Ham has it again. Throws into the end zone. Touchdown, Craig Ellis.
Watch the action here to Marshall. He hits up inside, and Ham just plays off a tackler, and Ellis gets the jump. Maybe this is the time where the play action froze the secondary enough to allow Craig Ellis to just sit and then slide up the seam.
To see how they group those three plays together. Ham right, Ham left, Ham then fake it and throw, and that play action, it was well thought out.
Is that kind of like the ham bone offense?
McArady adds the convert. Call it what you will. It was a 76-yard, 11-play drive, and it gives the Eskimos a 43-27, a 16-point lead with just 2:08 left.
Can't get any closer than this.
You see Craig Ellis, he's kind of loose off the line to make everybody think that it's a running play and he doesn't want to block anyone. And then he takes off, gets the separation that he needs and makes a play.
And you saw Hairston just to his one side there. Hairston had to make a decision, and when he did step up, when Ellis was standing and waiting, Ellis sort of releases up. Hairston, tough for him to make the right move.
Well, sure it is. It's a good bit of play acting. That's what it is.
And this is sweet redemption for Tracy Ham, who last year in the West Final against Saskatchewan was heavily criticized for his role in the Eskimos' loss. And what a game he's played today, as John Gregory's Saskatchewan Roughriders have 2 minutes and 8 seconds left to try and pull a rabbit out of the hat. Orville Lee with the kickoff return is tripped up at the Rider 40-yard line. Saskatchewan needs 2 touchdowns and 2 two-point converts to tie this game. Is that a tall order or not? Well, they have a lot of offensive power. We'll see if they can do it. Austin will work from the shotgun. Over the middle to Lucius Floyd. And he is crunched by 3 Eskimos.
Well, the Eskimos that time very much into prevent type of defense.
And after the game, we will select our Molson MVP and have a conversation with that individual. I'd like you to join us for that. Austin on second down again to Lucius Floyd. They're hoping he can break one. He gets the first down up near center field.
Well, you see what they're just dropping off those defensive backs, putting either 2 men very, very deep, letting the Roughriders have those small, short passes in front of them, and then telling everybody come up out of the zone to converge on the ball carrier.
Austin steps up from the rush and throws, and Mark Guy can't hang on at the Edmonton 45.
It's the theory of keep everyone in front of you. The linebackers will drop a little bit deeper. If you throw it to the backs of the slots in front, they'll come up and crack them. Same with the secondary. Keep the people in front of you.
That's why most teams will play that. They like to play that zone defense. When you play a zone, you can see everything in front of you develop. Man-to-man is not as easy.
1:38 left. 2nd and 10, Saskatchewan at the Edmonton. Actually, it's at the Saskatchewan 54-yard line. As Austin dumps it off to Orville Lee, and Braswell hits him right on the spot. Lee will gain 5 yards. It'll leave Saskatchewan in a 3rd and 6 situation. A minute 32 to go. As the Eskimos begin to celebrate, they think they have it under control, and they certainly appear to. Austin to Orville Lee. He gets the first down for Saskatchewan and is inside the Eskimo 40 to the 38 with a minute 20 left.
17-yard gain for the Riders. First down.
Walling, who came out of the game a little bit earlier with a banged-up knee. And if things go the way he wants it to, he won't have to test that knee again today.
Ken Austin. And again, a short stuff to Orville Lee, who waits for a block from Lucius Floyd. Danny Bass and Braswell make the tackle. Lee gains about 8 or 9 yards, but the Riders need the ball in the end zone, and they need it there right now if they're to have any chance of coming back.
And they're not going to get the ball in the end zone right now by dumping it off to the backs.
Second down and a couple. Austin. And he's sacked. Kent Austin is sacked. And the ball is loose. Saskatchewan, I think, got it back. Or did Edmonton get it? No, Saskatchewan got it back.
And in this pile of snow and people, Kent Austin is holding his right knee.
58 seconds left on the clock now. Edmonton leading 43-27. John Gregory's club came on strong after a 9-9 finish in '89 to win the Grey Cup. And they were expecting to have a better year this year than 9-9. John Gregory told us at the start of the year he thought they could win around 12 games, but they're 9-9 again. And it looks like they will not be able to duplicate their playoff success of last year.
Well, the defensive line of the Eskimos know it's carte blanche right now. They just come up and are going after the quarterback in a passing situation. And Austin will feel the pressure and try to slide up, but you're going to see him bent around here. Twisted back. You see how the body and the legs are underneath. It's almost like a sandwich under Bourgeot in that right knee. You can see he grabbed for it right away.
That's right, Neil. When you get your knee torqued like that, it's just not meant to do that.
While Joe Ferragelli, like many of the Eskimos, has been under a lot of heat here in Edmonton. They've called for his firing at the end of this season, some of the reporters, among other things. Joe just sort of sloughs that stuff off. He outwardly doesn't seem bothered by it, but it has to hurt a little bit inside, I would think. But he's getting some satisfaction out of this, I would suspect.
Well, I think if anyone knows the capabilities of his football team, it's the head coach and the assistant coaches. And I think, like you say, he sloughed off of the comments of maybe Joe Ferragelli should retire now and back down. But it's got to hurt you a little bit.
Well, I think part of that is he downplays the importance of those types of things to take some pressure off the players. He doesn't want them worrying about that kind of stuff. They got enough to worry about between those, white lines. So he doesn't want them to be concerned about those other types of things. Don't let anybody, players read newspapers and watch TV and listen to the radio. They hear those things.
And distractions are generally not a motivator, but they are a deterrent. They hurt teams. They don't get you motivated. They get you distracted.
Jeff Bentram rushed into activity here as Austin looks to be seriously hurt. Bentram throws, and it's no good. There's a flag down. The pass intended for Elgard, who couldn't hang on. There is a penalty flag with 42 seconds left, and Kent Austin in pain. It's going to be an interference penalty against Edmonton. Oh, no, maybe it's not interference. We'll see. I thought Ken Lazarick indicated interference. We'll get a better idea now.
Major foul. Unnecessary roughness, 44 Edmonton. First down, Saskatchewan.
Well, I mentioned earlier how Braswell is running out to try to jam the slot backs. All he did was run out and try to, you see him come in here late, get a push on Elgard to push him to the outside. I don't know where they get roughness out of that.
Well, maybe Braswell did something to Narcisse at the end of that play as Bentram throws and completes to Mark Guy to the Eskimo 18-yard line, 36 seconds left.
Well, you hate to see any type of, you hate injuries to players at any time, but especially at the last minute, the end of the last game of the year for the Roughriders.
Second down, Riders. They're at the Edmonton 18. Bentram to Lucius Floyd, and he's down to the 12. That's a first down. And again, these plays are advancing Saskatchewan down the field, but there's only 29 seconds left in the game. And John Gregory has a somewhat resigned look. Bentram, the pass behind Don Narcisse at the 7-yard line. 22 seconds left now. Eskimos lead by 16, 43-27.
Tell me it wouldn't be easy to warm up your shoulder after sitting around on a day like this, just watching, and at the end of the game you have to go in.
Austin has an ankle and a knee injury as Bentram tries to put Saskatchewan in the end zone on second down. He throws it deep in there, and it's no good. Intended for Jeff Fairholm.
Well, the Eskimos right now, they're not going to give him any of those outside patterns where he can catch the ball deep or run out of bounds. They're going to try to funnel everything into the middle where all the pursuit comes and the help that they need.
17 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Joe Faragelli working the gum over pretty good. He'll work over some Italian food, I would think, after this game tonight. A little celebration. Eating is a celebration for Joe at any time. Third down, Bentram to pass. Dumps it off to Orville Lee. He's inside the 5 and close to a first down with 11 seconds left. But again, Saskatchewan down by 16, so none of this really matters unless they can score, get a 2-point convert, and then recover an onside kick and run it in, but they're not going to even have that chance because they didn't make it.
Well, Orville Lee tried to do the right thing. When you're faced with two defenders, the best thing to do is don't pick one, try to split the two of them, and they may hit each other and bump off and you get the first down. It just didn't work.
So it'll be Edmonton in Calgary. How about that for a Western final in Calgary next Sunday, and Toronto at Winnipeg in the East final. We'll have that game on CFN at 2 Eastern time.
Joe Faragelli had mentioned, as I'd heard some of the players, that after the game last week at McMahon Stadium, all they were saying is, look, we want to get back here. We want another shot at the Stampeders. Well, the boys in Calgary are waiting, and waiting anxiously, I'm sure.
And the Eskimos are going to get that shot. And after this performance, they will go into Calgary with a tremendous amount of confidence. More than they would have, I think, when they came into this, more confidence than they would have had starting this game today. Although they've played with a lot of confidence. This is the final play of the game, and the Eskimos have avenged their Western final loss to Saskatchewan last year, and they will move on to the Western final to play the Calgary Stampeders, as Joe Faragelli and John Gregory will shake hands. No animosity between those two individuals. That's a nice picture as the Eskimos defeat the Saskatchewan Roughriders 43-27 in the Western semifinal.
So the Edmonton defense stayed strong despite Kent Austin's best effort, as the Riders failed to produce a single point in the fourth quarter. Usually Tracy Ham was more effective as a running quarterback, but in this Western semifinal, he showed he was a complete player, making plays in the pocket on a consistent basis. So Edmonton would move on to the Western final, where their offense once again did the trick, as they beat the Stampeders at McMahon Stadium 43-23. That's a total of 86 points in 2 playoff games for Edmonton. Could Edmonton possibly have a third 43-point total in the Grey Cup game against Winnipeg? Well, it wasn't meant to be, as the Eskimos limped into BC Place, having already played 2 tough playoff games and were absolutely destroyed by the Bombers by a score of 50-11. I hope you enjoyed the 1990 Western semifinal here on CFL Classics. For ESPN Classic Canada, I'm Chris Schultz.
Looking, Gary Curry, McSorley to Gretzky! Scores! He did it!
This